was not very excited when the first trailer of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came around. I'm still kind of skeptical on the release, which is in about 2 weeks from recording this. There is this video that I came across today. It's from a YouTuber called Linky, and the title is "Here's Why Fans Have Become Excited for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl." And I want to know why fans have become finally excited for this game, because I still don't really feel it. I am going to Nuzlock here on my Twitch channel. Let's just dive into the video, shall we?
Alrighty guys, what's going on? Linky here, and in today's video I wanted to discuss the change in hype that appears to have happened for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And ever since around August, it feels as if there has been a big shift in the Pokemon community's expectations for BDSP. And in today's video, I wanted to discuss...
For me, I haven't seen a big difference from all of the different trailers and things they've released so far. So I'm very interested to see where this is going.
Now, I love Pokemon. I love YouTube.
Same.
And I love the Pokemon community online as a whole, regardless of how flawed or how negative it can be sometimes. If you were around just a couple years ago for the Sword and Shield hype cycle, you would know that when the games were first announced, it was mostly positive. People were decently excited about seeing a new generation on the Nintendo Switch.
And people were excited about the wild area as well, right? That was something new coming to Pokemon. They didn't really deliver on what it could be, the wild area, but at least it was something different.
But the entire thing quickly turned south when they unveiled some of the things that were going to be coming to Sword and Shield in June of that year. When they announced Dezzcord, which became incredibly famous, where a bunch of Pokemon were no longer in the Pokedex. They were getting cut from the game completely.
Yeah.
Then the rush of criticisms came. All of a sudden, there were a ton of criticisms about the animations of attacks being used, the animations of Pokemon themselves, about the art style and the graphical capability of the game running on the Nintendo Switch. The community was outraged.
Was it that bad? Was it really that bad? I can't remember it being that bad. Even Japanese fans got upset? Wow. Yeah, then it's really bad. Let's continue.
Because when Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were first announced, it felt that there was that same kind of trepidation.
Yeah.
People saw the art style. People had expectations of what they were thinking Diamond and Pearl remakes were going to be beforehand.
Yeah. I really thought with these remakes, they were going into a more of a direction of what they did with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But the art style it took me by surprise so much. I didn't really understand what was happening to me at the time. It was I remember when these trailers dropped, I think I was watching it together on a stream from Pokemon Challengers, and he instantly as well was like, what the hell is this? What is happening here? This looks worse than the DS versions. But obviously, with the more trailers, it started to look a little better, but the style was still there that I'm not particularly fond of. It felt cheap or something. They said oh, we're doing a faithful remake. Okay. Sure.
But with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, while there was always interest, there was some very strong online interest in these remakes. And it might be because they're remakes.
Interesting.
They're telling the story of a really classic and beloved Pokemon game.
Yeah,
that
I guess
was always
so.
going to be there. But it felt like the community had a little bit of doubt. The models didn't look the best. The animation didn't look great.
No.
Who knows if there were going to be more Pokemon than just Gen 4. We've been bitten by this before with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Oh, that was rough, man. Holy shit. Yeah. I really hope it's going to be with the same with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they'll put later gen Pokemon into this game as maybe after the Elite Four, something like that, as Horde Encounter, something like that. That'd be really cool. When I played Omega Ruby on stream as my first Nuzlocke, I was so surprised and so disappointed by how much they hold your hand throughout the whole game. It was so there was no challenge even in a Nuzlocke. Me Nuzlocking for the first time ever, I wasn't challenged in Omega Ruby.
With Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, we've had issues with remakes in the past. And on top of it all, we were getting no new information from Game Freak. We didn't see anything until about the middle of the summer. And once we started seeing some new things for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, it feels as if from my end, the perception from the community began to change. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to mention that the vast majority of you guys who are watching this video aren't subscribed to the channel now, of course.
Yeah, if you're watching right now, subscribe to the channel. You can unsubscribe it's free, and you can unsubscribe if you want, if you don't like my content. But
be sure to hit that subscribe button today so you never miss another BDSP video from this channel. In the middle of the summer,
click the like button as well.
We finally got it. We got the announcement of a Pokemon Presents detailing brand new information for Legends Arceus and for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. It was a doozy. We got a ton of new information for Legends and for BDSP that completely blew the original reveals out of the water. It was incredibly exciting, so many new details to dig into, so many things to make theories about and discuss ideas and concepts with your friends. The Pokemon community was jazzed.
The thing is, they just really want to cater to their younger audience, which I understand because their parents have money, but I feel like they also should understand your old school fans are at the age that they also have a lot of money now that they can spend on a more mature Pokemon game, which I really hope Arceus is going to be.
But what we also started to notice was that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl looked a lot more polished. The environments looked a lot more vibrant. They looked like they had a lot more color.
That was
the
a big
character
difference.
models looked sharper. The Pokemon battles looked a lot better. The models within those battles looked more detailed. And in that same trailer, they unveiled features that weren't originally in Diamond and Pearl, which is not something we really expected. The Grand Underground with little coves that you can find wild Pokemon in and see different environments. And what you do in your secret base underground affects the environments that you can find.
That was such a, like, that got me a little bit more positive about it. Like, obviously, I'm still iffy, but that did give me a positive vibe. Like, they did say it was going to be a faithful remake of these games, but they did add they are going to add something new, which is the Grand Underground, which I'm very excited to see, and I'm very excited how that's going to play in Nuzlocke. Can you almost force encounters? Can you be more strategic with your encounters, with what you put in your secret base? I think that could definitely bring in a very good element into a Nuzlocke, which is unused tools that you have in your Pokemon games. Like, you used to have Pokemon contests and the secret bases as well that weren't really used in Nuzlocke, but this can add that, which could be really cool.
That's a really cool new feature for these games that weren't in the originals. And all of a sudden, all of everybody's hopes started to go up. But the community gradually started to change as we got more trailers. And it feels like for a lot of people, sentiment began to shift that we're really excited for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, maybe even a little bit more than Legends Arceus from some fans. And that's really interesting to see just because of how ambitious.
Don't step over the boundaries just yet, all right? I'm still definitely more hyped for Legends Arceus than BDSP, all right? Calm down.
Legends is. And all of this is to say, I think the Pokemon community needs to learn a couple lessons, hopefully. You know, the game could come out, it could be terrible, and this video would be pretty much useless. But let's assume for a moment that hype is warranted, and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl come out, and they're really good, and they're a success, and people really enjoy them. There's a lot of lessons for the Pokemon community. And the first lesson is games take time to be developed. This is something that we're not always going to be able to judge the product when it's first revealed. We're used to, for lack of a better way of putting it, handheld games that aren't as in-depth as console games, whereas development doesn't have to take as long. With Pokemon games now on the Switch, there's a lot more time and a lot more of a machine that you're putting this game on for development to go closer to release. And you could definitely tell that when they revealed these games back in February, they knew there was going to be a mixed reaction, which is why I think they unveiled Legends Arceus alongside BDSP.
Sure, I understand that move, I guess, but as Game Freak, that Nintendo have switched to the Switch, and it's the hybrid of handheld and console, right? You can anticipate on that, and you're allowed to have more time for releases. It's what so many games and companies are doing right now, and game developers are doing right now, because of the pandemic as well, it just took a huge toll on being able to develop a game. And it is fine to take a bit more time for that and make it not look as rough as when you announce it. When people anticipate something and you announce that thing that people have been anticipating, make it grand, make it look good, make sure your fans aren't disappointed. That sounds very logical to me, like, make sure your fans aren't disappointed by what you do, but who knows, that might not be the philosophy for Game Freak.
Because they knew, even though Legends Arceus, honestly, was not ready to be shown off at that time. Going back and looking at the trailer now, it wasn't in a finished state, or at least close enough to a finished state that we would have seen a trailer we should have. But they did it because they knew there was going to be a backlash for what they were doing with BDSP. Not only do I think as fans we need to realize that game development does take a while. We can't immediately judge something. We have to give it some time. We can't pass grandiose statements on a game and say, oh, it's going to be terrible. Oh, it's going to be great. First, when we haven't seen it close to finished. And two, when we haven't played it yet, or average people.
Yeah, I understand. You don't judge a book by its cover, obviously, but also if you really want to invest in a book, you need to read the cover to know what the book's going to be about. And if that cover isn't great, then why would you read the book? Right? Or is that just me? I don't know. That's my opinion on it. Like, make sure your cover is good. Also make sure your cover isn't better than the book itself, or the game itself in this situation. I think that was not the case, hopefully. I really hope that that's not the case for these games.
Haven't played it yet. And the second thing that I think we need to learn about BDSP, and this has been something that I've had to deal with, and Zelda fans dealt with this a couple years ago, is that the art style can change. It's okay for developers to want to try something different. Just because something is different doesn't mean it's cheap.
But it's not different though, is it? It is going back to what it used to be on smaller consoles, on weaker consoles. They went back to a style that it used to be, and we all thought they moved on from that, but apparently they didn't.
Sometimes people have a vision. Sometimes people have an idea of what they want to do with the game, and it doesn't follow what the bigger audience wants. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad. The Link's Awakening remake had a lot of criticism because of its toy-like look. And now that people have played the game, most of them really liked the Link's Awakening remake.
That's because they did it right. Like, don't get me wrong, it could be that BDSP have done this look right. Could be. We'll have to find out in 2 weeks, but I'm not sure if it's... Like, I'm still skeptical on if it is.
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, it feels like it's going to follow the same route. I will
That's
admit,
his hypothesis.
When I first saw the trailer, that first reaction, I was like, oh, do we need this? Is this really what Pokemon needs?
Same.
And eventually I got on board, even though the one trailer we had did not look great. When we got that new trailer and we saw how much work had been put into the art style and how much more alive the world of Sinnoh looks, I was fully okay with it. Would I want mainline Pokemon games to look like this? No. But I think it's one thing that eventually the community will learn to appreciate about the Switch era of Pokemon games is how varied in art styles we've gotten from these games. We've had Let's Go Pikachu, Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, 3 games with
all
vastly different looks and feels. We've had...
I understand, but also, like, is the Pokemon brand strong enough? I think so, yes. Pokemon is huge. Is the Pokemon brand strong enough to warrant these, like, drastic changes from game to game to game? I think it is because it's Pokemon, but it's still iffy. Any other smaller game could have never done this.
We've had such a large variety of games on Switch, and it's something that as fans we need to be appreciative. Every Pokemon game doesn't have to be cookie cutter. I thought a couple years ago that was a problem the community had with Pokemon, that it never tries in any way to be different. But when they did try to be different, I think they got a little too much criticism.
The thing is, they never tried to be different, then they did try to be different, and they fucked it. And that's okay, but like admit it and then look at the things you've done right and improve on that instead of doing something completely different. Look at the things you do right and improve on that. Look at the things you do wrong and learn lessons from that, right? That goes for anything in life.
That's just my opinion. And it's my opinion largely as to why the hype cycle has kind of gotten better for BDSP, and why it feels like a lot of people are really excited for this game's release now. We're only a little over a month away from the game coming out November 19th. I am really excited to see what we'll see in the lead up to the launch, and then eventually playing through the game with you guys and discussing all of the things that are in it.
I understand where he's coming from. I understand that he got more hyped over the course of the release time, but I'm myself still skeptical about it coming out. It's coming out in two weeks, and I'm definitely going to play it. I'm going to Nuzlocker it on my Twitch channel. If you're not following yet, go over to Twitch if you're watching on YouTube right now. If you are following, like these people over here, then join them. We have a lovely community over here. So anyway, that was it for me. Check out my Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl Nuzlocke soon, and I'll see you guys next time.